So hello world, this is a coil winding setup for rewinding electric motors. So here I first, using this interesting contraption, unrolled 7 strands of magnet wire using the mark on the floor somewhere in there. And then I have this interesting comb-like contraption that keeps the wires straight, avoids them getting tangled up. And then I have this horrible Chinese winding machine that I'm only really using for this shaft that has bearings, so it could be any shaft really. I'm not using the counter or this mechanism for anything at all. So for the motor, I will be doing a lap winding. Will be having 7 turns per slot, so I will first wind 7 turns around these first forms, and then I will skip over here to the second forms and wind another 7 turns, and then on the third form I will wind yet another 7 turns, and then it will be ready for removal from the form and insertion into the motor. So here I have wound the first 7 turns, so I'm skipping over to the second slot winding. So I will wind another 7 turns here, and then yet another 7 turns on the third slot form, and then remove this winding. So now I have wound the third round, so I will be removing the coil. So first I have this around 1/2 meter of this leader, or whatever it's called, to connect to the other coils. So I will be removing this first from this hole that is keeping it in place. Then the coil will just come off. So the form is just mounted with 2 screws in the correct place that I have marked with some tape, because otherwise it would obviously result in a mistake sooner or probably later, but still. So now I will be inserting this coil into this motor. So as you can see, I have already inserted 2 of these coils, so 1 coil of 3 different 7-turn windings will go in this motor, and it will be 1 pole. So this will be a 4-pole motor, so there will be in total 6 of these. So there are already 2, which are, this is the first phase, first pole, and then the 3 over here are the second phase, well, the first pole of the second phase, and this will be the third phase. And it will be quite an annoying job to put the final coil in here. It will have to be shoehorned in this tiny space, and then I will have to form the windings so that they will not obstruct the way when I'm inserting the rotor. But I will see how it goes, and it might be that I'll have to start over and wind a coil that is a tiny little bit longer. But I'll try to avoid that, because these parts of the windings are actually quite a large contributor to the total coil resistance. So these parts are not doing any useful work. They are not making the rotor turn. The magnetic field that does that, it's only these parts that are inside the core. So it's always good to minimize this length of this part of the coils, but eventually it will just become impossible to insert the rotor because the coils are too much in the way, so you'll have to find some kind of compromise.